Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of LaRei's Healing. I'm Tanisha, and I am sure that some of you have been wondering why I'm doing this. Um, and I've asked myself that same question. The reason why I'm doing this is because I am a recovering alcoholic, um, a recovering professional alcoholic. Um, I started drinking pretty regularly when I was about 15. I have tried to quit drinking before. This time I am coming up on a year. And since I don't want to have another drink, since I cannot have another drink because one would send me right back over, um, in an effort to deal with the issues behind why I was drinking, aside from being predisposed to it because of genetic, you know, history, whatever. Um, I use it for as a coping mechanism, to help me try to forget a lot of the pain that I was feeling surrounding the situations that I have gone through. And addiction is a very big risk factor for children who have been abused. Um, so it kind of goes hand in hand. You develop some form, you have a higher risk, almost 50%, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so I wanted to put this out there to deal with that, to try to get rid of those issues, and stop walking around with those secrets, with those things that were dulling my shine, um, that were keeping me from being the best possible version of myself. Why I decided to do it this way, I really couldn't tell you. Um, it's very contradictory. It's very contrary to how I've ever been. I'm usually very private. And isolation is a symptom of alcoholism. You try to hide that. But aside from that, I just didn't tell my business. It's easy to talk about work. It's easy to talk about my children, but as far as myself personally, I didn't really go into that too much. And so this whole putting it out there to the world or whoever watches, but making it possible for the whole world to see is crazy for me. A big deal. So I appreciate your respect and understanding, because this is not easy to do. I wanted to go into my personal situation. And I want to start that off by saying that it is not my intention to hurt anyone. It's not my intention to sling mud, to throw shade, whatever. I just need to share my truth, speak on that. And that's what I need to do in order to move forward. So I was molested when I was 10 by someone that I knew. We actually lived with this man, and he started off by what I later found out was called grooming. He would give me candy and snacks, leave the TV on for me when I should have been going to sleep. All these little things to make me like him, to build a sort of loyalty toward him, and that eventually progressed into showing me, Polaroids of himself naked, and Polaroids of women, and everything was out there. None of this was appropriate for a fourth grader. I was 19 years old when this happened. He would peek in doorways when I was getting dressed, peek in the bathroom when I was drying off after I got out the tub, stuff like that. And It was while we were in the basement lifting weights. He was showing me how to lift weights, how to place my hands on the bar up above my head, where the molestation took place. And for a long time, I tried to figure out how to tell her what was going on. And I just kept remembering, because she always told me, she said, you can tell me anything, you can tell me anything, you can tell me anything. And so that's how I started the conversation. And I said, remember when you told me that I could tell you anything? And I remember I was just crying. It just kind of like came out of me really fast. And they were arguing down in the basement. I heard them going back and forth. And she called me down and told me to repeat what I'd said. And of course, he denied everything. And it was just a mess. It was a mess. And I wanted to come back home to live with my grandmother. So she let me call. And right away it was, don't say anything about what happened. Right away. Don't say anything. So already it was a secret. And already it was like a secret. And don't tell anybody. And her whole, you can tell me anything, you can tell me anything, I found that it meant nothing, because she wasn't going to do anything about it. She wasn't going to protect me. She wasn't going to fight for me. And at that moment, I felt like I was worthless. I meant nothing to anyone, especially the main person that I'm supposed to mean something to. And so I came back home and lived with my grandmother for some months. And when I went back, she was still with him. They had moved to a suburb, better place, and I had to live with this man for probably another good year. It was just like, I just felt betrayed. I really just felt like I didn't mean anything, and her happiness was more important than mine. It didn't matter what had went down. It was like, I don't know what her thought process was, but I felt betrayed, and I felt like I was just important to no one. So eventually, like I said, I started drinking when I was 15, started drinking in school, hiding bottles in my bedroom, all over the place. And I got really good at it. I was a professional drinker. I'd be in a blackout and you wouldn't even know. So that's only the beginning of it. I mean, things just got really bad. Promiscuity and, making just terrible choices, putting myself at risk in multiple circumstances and situations just because I didn't think that I was good enough. Nobody cared, so why should I care? And I just didn't care anymore. So that's going to conclude this part. And I'm glad I finally got that out. And I hope that it says to some of you that you are not the only one that had to go through this situation. And we all, if you were raised in a black household, we know that you don't put your business out there in the street. What happens in this house stays in this house. We hear that from the time we can talk. But that will kill you. That will kill you from the inside out. My daughter is 10. She is about the same age as I was when this started happening. And when I look at her, I see myself, and I just can't imagine not doing any and everything for her to protect her and to fight for her and to make her feel valued and make her feel loved and make her know that I'm proud of her and that I will always be there for her to support her. And I think about that every day in this last year that she's been 10. It's like I just don't understand. And it's so hurtful. And I want to dull that pain. I don't want to feel that hurt like that anymore. So I wanted to start the process of healing. And please, I encourage you to reach out to me because I want to share your stories. I want to hear your stories. And possibly we can help someone else because there are many of us. So reach out to me anonymously. I won't share who you are. I won't discuss it other than in this forum. I take the trust that you would place in me and sending me your stories very seriously. And so, having said that, thank you for watching this episode, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll be speaking to you all soon. Thanks.